Review inner class. Inner class is decided specifically to create a listener object for a GUI component, like buttons. It will not be shared by other applications, so it is appropriate to define the listener class inside the frame class as an inner class. Like for example, this is an inner class for a large header that's specified for the button, which is the button enlarge, set on action, new enlarger, header, and this is an inner class. Alright, and the benefit of inner class is circle pin can access to the circle pin here, the attributes of the outer class. Another benefit of inner class is it makes the program simple. It will not be shared by other applications since it's inside the class, so it is appropriate to define the listener class inside the frame class as an inner class. Inner class, a class is a member of another class. We talk about advantages. You can use an inner class to make programs simple. You can also be able to reference the data and method defined in the outer class, in which is nest. So this is an example. This is an inner class. Just put this class inside the test. And you can directly reference to the data, which is a member, and methods, which is the member of the outer class. Inner classes can make programs simple and concise. Inner class supports to the work of its containing outer class and is compiled into a class name. So when you name it, you can do outer class name, inner class name dot class, or outer class, inner class dot class. That's naming convention. So outer comes first and then inner. So inner classes, an inner class can be declared public, protected, or private, subject to the same visibility rules applied to a member of the class. Inner class can be declared static. A static inner class can be accessed using the outer class name. A static inner class cannot access non-static members of the outer class. Anonymous. So let's talk about anonymous inner classes. So anonymous inner class might always extend a superclass or implement an interface, but it cannot have an explicit extend or implement clause. An anonymous inner class must implement all the abstract methods in the superclass or the interface. An anonymous inner class always uses the noarg constructor from its superclass to create an instance. If an anonymous inner class implements an interface, the constructor is object. An anonymous inner class is compiled into a class named outer class name.class. For example, if the outer class test has two anonymous inner classes, these two classes are compiled into test1 and test2 class. Inner class listener can be shortened using anonymous inner classes. That is the point of using anonymous. You see example, because we want to shorten the inner classes. An anonymous inner class is an inner class without a name. It combines declaring an inner class and creating an instance of the class in one step. An anonymous inner class is declared as follows, like new superclass name or interface name, and then open curly braces, do implementation method in superclass or interface. So let's look at this example. So on the left, we already seen this is an inner class. When we start application, we call a large header, like button enlarge, call that new enlarge header, like exactly what I did here, right? New enlarge header. Now, I'm going to modify this code to use anonymous. Anonymous inner class pretty much just take the implementation, right, of the inner class and put like inside the methods. Alright, and then we can just remove the word class in large handler and implements. We just say new event handler because anonymous in the class doesn't need to have that. You see that class name is in the class without a name. So we remove all the whole name and so we don't need the name. Remove the name, remove the new, remove the name, but keep the new. Remove all the keys. So technically, I'm normally do event, right? Header like this. I'm going to remove the whole thing and just do like this. And delete the whole thing here. And put inside here, this is called anonymous. New event header. Action event, right? Start to do. But this whole thing is inside the methods, right? Now, new header action event header. We have to do open, because this is like you call the constructor of event header right away, right? So we have to add the parentheses inside right there. Now we can start to implement the methods header right there. So this is called anonymous in the class. You can set on action into this, and then we can just call circle pane dot. This one is a large, so dot a large. All right, so this is called anonymous in the class. Let's do again with the show you one more time with how we do the string. I don't need this. Takes the whole thing out. I don't need the inner class. I'm going to string it. Or add the button string action instead of new string header. We don't have the class name anymore. Right. We're going to replace this whole thing with that event header. But this event header, we don't need to have the name and modifiers, but we have to add this is like constructor that, and then we're done. The parentheses as constructor. So this is called anonymous, and it's going to work exactly the same. So this is what I'm talking about. Like there are three types. You can use lambda. You can create the inner class, right? For event headers. You can also do anonymous. So anonymous, just shorten it by just do new and call the class event header right away. When you saw it's still the same flow that we talked about earlier here. This flow. Let's look at this flow. Set, right? Set here. Fire event. Look, the button. Fire the event. This is the button. Button, set on action, fire event, create a new event header. For the button, we use set on action, event header. And then action event, handle the process. Create header, process it. Still the same step, 3, right? Like I said, we can even make it even shorter. Holding here out, E, use lambda, right? We can make that, and we're going to talk about that next. We have seen it, but how are we going to make it? So we talk about anonymous class, and we seen how we changed that. Now we use lambda. So that whole thing can be simplified using lambda expression. Like I said, this whole thing can be simplified. This whole thing, E, can be used lambda expressions, right? Like that. This is lambda expression is a new feature in Java 8, only valid for Java 8. Lambda expressions can be viewed as anonymous method with a concise syntax. For example, the following code in A can be greatly simplified using lambda. So A, set on action new event handler. Instead of set on action new event handler, we just say E. Like the whole handle, just remove it out. Like this whole handle, remove it out. Right. And it still works. Okay, let's test. So this is for shrink. There you go. See? This we talk about inner class, anonymous class. Anonymous class, this whole thing can be removed, replaced with E, lambda, and we don't need to closing it anymore. Right? It still works. Just shortened the whole inner class concept, anonymous class concept into lambda, and simplify this code. Using lambda is very similar to anonymous, replacing anonymous with E and lambda symbol. That's what it is. So that's why I start to show you the lambda first and try to explain, dig deep into details what happened behind that lambda. It is actually anonymous, and what happened behind the anonymous class is actually an inner class, right? Just create a class, instantiate object, and implement them. That's the concept of interfaces that we have learned that implement the methods. Alright, so that's just basic syntax for a lambda expression. Type, param, type, and then lambda expressions or lambda statements like we see in here, lambda expressions. You can make a lambda statement with a curly braces like that too, like statements if you want to do more than one action. Either put expressions like that or the statements like that, like inside, just like open the curly braces, and then you can do more than one. Like this is one, right? Circle enlarge, and I just do system.out too. You can do a lot, just like methods, right? So let's run and see what happened with enlarge. It's also do system.out, right? And also do both enlarging. You can do more than one thing inside that lambda, right? Curly braces. So that what is the statements, or just one expression. Syntax can be either one. So data type for a parameter may be explicitly declared, right, for the parameters, or implicitly inferred by the compiler. The parentheses can be omitted if there's only one parameter without an explicit data type. So in this case, like, we can actually define action event as a parameter like that too. But if it's only one parameter, it can be omitted, like we seen here, omitted. Then we can actually do access to the method of event e.getSource